Imagine you're a traveler who's been walking all day. The sun has set hours ago, and now the only light comes from the stars sprinkled across the vast darkness of the sky. You spot a flickering fire in the distance and decide to walk towards it. As you approach, you can see a group of people sitting around the fire, their faces lit by its dancing flames. There are also some animals there: sheep, cows, goats, and dogs. Suddenly, a wolf appears from behind a bush and lets out a loud bark. The people and the dogs are startled, but the wolf quickly runs off. The travelers feel grateful to have found this friendly camp and ask if they can spend the night here. The people welcome them and offer food and shelter. They all eat together, sharing stories around the fire until it's time to sleep. You settle down next to the others and drift off to sleep, lulled by the crackling fire and the soft murmurs of the people. But then you hear a commotion. One of the men shouts, "Wolf," and everyone springs into action. The traveler grabs a torch and sees a man grab his spear and run outside. The rest of the men follow, but the traveler doesn't. He decides to stay inside the circle of tents with the women and children. Moments later, he hears a commotion outside, and then everything becomes silent. When the first rays of sunlight peek through the darkness, revealing a clear night sky, the traveler asks about the wolf. The people shake their heads sadly and tell him that a wolf had attacked. The traveler feels sympathy for them and wants to help, so he offers to guard their animals throughout the night, thinking that with two people keeping watch, they should be able to scare away any predators. Then people accept his offer, and the night passes without incident. But as dawn approaches, the traveler hears another commotion and sees a young man holding a knife, while the others stand around looking worried. The traveler asks what happened and learns that one of the cows had been injured during the night. They had to put it down to prevent further suffering. The traveler understands that even with two guards, they couldn't fully protect the herd. Just then, the cow's owner arrives. He's a weathered old man who tells the traveler that guarding animals at night is a difficult task. Back in his day, they had to deal with much worse predators like wolves, bears, and humans. And unfortunately, no amount of manpower could fully ensure safety. The traveler realizes that protecting livestock wasn't just about having enough guards. It required constant vigilance and preparation. Even so, sometimes things would slip through their defenses and losses were inevitable. All they could do was try their best and learn from both their successes and failures. As the sun rises higher in the sky, the traveler prepares to leave the camp. Before departing, the old man calls him over and reveals the secret behind their defense against predators. He explains that over the years they've tried many strategies to protect their livestock, such as building sturdy pens, relying on dogs, and using deterrents like fire and bells. However, despite these measures, attacks still happen, and the only solution he's found is rotation. He says they move their camp every few days, which might seem like a hassle, but it works. Wolves tend to stay in one place for weeks, eating the same prey over and over again. So when the people move their camp, the wolves lose interest and go in search of easier prey. The traveler thanks the old man for his advice, understanding that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. He bids farewell to the people and begins his journey once more, thinking about the challenges of protecting animals and the resourcefulness of the people he met. He also wonders if he could use some of the old man's advice to better defend his own livestock back home. For centuries, people's livestock weren't just their source of food, clothing, and tools. They were also their wealth, their insurance against future hunger, and often their connection to the land itself. To lose even one animal was a serious matter, affecting someone's ability to survive and even their family's future. So they tried everything to keep their animals safe, learning from experience and passing on the knowledge for future generations. Sometimes it involved the whole community working together. Other times it was up to each family to fend for themselves. In lonely places like deserts and endless plains, people built their own protection using things found in nature, like thorn bushes, sharp stones, and mud. They used sticks and rocks to make pens, like a maze, so predators would get lost or hurt before reaching their animals. Others made holes or ditches around their pens, making sure animals could easily escape from predators. But sometimes the predators fell in instead. Those who lived among forests or grasslands relied on teaching their animals to stay close and move as one. Their dogs weren't just pets, but brave guards that sensed danger before it arrived. If needed, they'd protect the herd by standing in front, giving their lives if necessary. Some people kept a close watch from high places, looking out for anything unusual and sounding the alarm with a horn or whistle. Whether in open fields or hidden valleys, people hung bells around their animals' necks. Even in the darkest night, the bell's gentle chime helped them know if their animals were okay. When the bells fell silent, it meant trouble was nearby. In forested areas, people built shelters into hillsides or dug deep holes around sleeping herds, hiding from predators in these safe spots. Some villages planted trees or thorny vines that animals hated to walk through. Others spread animal fat or ash along paths to hide the scent of their livestock. Some people told stories of magical powers or spirits that frightened evil creatures away, while others relied on prayers, songs, or symbols they carefully put on their land to drive away bad things. No matter what they did, every tool came from nature and was shaped by hands that understood the risks. They didn't waste resources or make unnecessary noise, but they did what was necessary because they learned it the hard way, through loss, through careful observation, and by listening to what the land was telling them. Many people today forget these old-time lessons, trusting in walls, machines, and modern conveniences. But maybe those ancient ways still have something to teach us. Perhaps the true defense isn't in what we build, but in how well we comprehend the world around us. In the end, it wasn't just strength that kept the animals safe. It was wisdom, patience, and respect for all living things that shared the night. In the heart of Africa, there was a village where people lived in harmony with nature. They had strong huts made from wood and straw, but they also used skills passed down from their ancestors to protect their animals from predators. Even though lions, leopards, and hyenas lived nearby, they rarely attacked the villagers' cattle. The reason for this is that the villagers respected the animals in the land they shared and took actions to coexist peacefully. They would sing and dance before eating their meals and never wasted food. They also took care of injured animals, burying dead ones with honor and believing that their souls would return. Because of this, the other animals felt safe around the villagers and rarely attacked them. This teaches us that understanding and respecting the world around us, including other creatures, is essential to living in harmony and safety. In ancient Egypt, people domesticated many animals, including geese, which were excellent swimmers and protectors. People bred domestic geese from wild ones, and the domestic geese were larger, friendlier, and easier to keep as pets. Geese honked loudly and fiercely guarded their territory. They were so protective that if anyone entered without permission, they immediately attacked. Farmers raised geese not only for their meat, but also to protect their crops and livestock. They would release the geese during the day, allowing them to roam and guard the fields. The geese chased away pesky birds and other animals, preventing them from eating the crops. At night, the geese returned to the farm, perching on the roof to keep watch and honk loudly if anything unusual happened. Farmers appreciated the geese's help and made sure to provide them with good food and water. This shows how domestic geese were valued for their bravery and usefulness in protecting the farm. In ancient Rome, people kept animals like pigs, sheep, goats, and cattle, but they also had pet dogs that helped protect them from wild animals and robbers. Dogs were considered property and were often given names. The Romans kept dogs for hunting, herding, and guarding. They would tie up their dogs during the day so they could rest and be ready to guard at night. At night, people closed and locked their doors and stayed inside with their families and pets. Dogs would bark at strangers and help people feel safer. Many dog breeds are still used for similar jobs today, showing how important and helpful dogs have been for a long time. Tell me, what did you find most interesting about the ways people used to protect their animals from predators? Which method surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. See you next time.